Hello, world.
And we are locked in here, Fight Bananas podcast. Myself, Max Van Auken, Dave the Wave. How are you doing?
Cuzzo, I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. We had a spectacular UFC fight card, UFC 231. Max Holloway defeats Brian Ortega. And what about Joanna, the heart of a champion? Although she lost, she fought a great fight for what we thought she would do, you know?
Yeah, she was great. It just shows how great the bullet is, Valentina is. She won, to me, all 5 rounds, 4 out of the 5. She was dominant stand-up and on the ground, taking her down, which is a big part of MMA nowadays. The whole card was excellent, Max. It was spectacular. It was bananas. So many undercard fights. The Santos first round, back and forth was incredible. The Red Rum fight, Gunnar Nelson versus Cowboy, it was just blood everywhere. But I know you would always want to start with a man named Max, especially with the performance of Max Holloway. So, Cuzzo, take it away. I'll listen, and I'll come back and rebuttal.
Well, first of all, guys, fightbananas.com. Check it out. It's the best MMA news articles. Hopefully get this podcast up there. Also, Locked In with 2 Ends. We talk more than just MMA. We talk basketball. We talk football. You name it. Locked In with 2 Ends on all podcast platforms. But, yeah, so going into it, I understood Ortega had more ways to win this fight. I just believed Max Holloway, if he won, it's a 13-fight win streak now. His last loss was to Conor McGregor. Beat Aldo, the most decorated featherweight champion of all time, twice. So I had Max going into this. I know he was an underdog, and I was so impressed with how he did it. And we say this every time. He peppers you, he moves forward, and he does it where he doesn't receive damage. He's literally right in a line of fire, but just enough away that he doesn't get hit as much. And it's impressive. His conditioning is unbelievable. His chin, his mentality, wanting to fight anybody and whoever, no matter what weight division. He called out Daniel Cormier, for Christ's sake. It was unbelievable, his performance. And now, to me, Dave, what's more intriguing almost is the fact that Dana White wants him to move up to 155, the Habibs, the Conor McGregors, the you name it, the Tony Fergusons. So this is going to be interesting, and I said it before the fight. For both of these fighters, what makes it so interesting and intriguing is the flexibility of their weight. They're very versatile. They can go up, they can go down. Well, they probably can't go down any further, but they can challenge that lightweight belt. So let's just see what goes on into the future, but I love the amount of opportunities are ahead.
Oh, absolutely, Cuzzo. I have a question for you with that, but just to kind of talk about the fight. On the Max side, you were saying peppering.
Yeah.
One thing he does better than any fighter that I've seen in the last 5-8 years in the UFC and the MMA game, he peppers with heavy shots. He's not just peppering you with the jab. He's peppering you with the overhand right, a left, right, left. He's peppering you with heavy shots, body shots, then to the face. Max Holloway was beyond impressive. I thought about this. I thought it was the greatest title defense of 2018. That's how impressed I was with Max Holloway. And then just to real quick give it a nugget to Brian Ortega, T-City. Outstanding. I really do. Jones and Gus fought 3 years ago. Jones retained the title, but I like Gus even more, and I feel the same way right now about Brian Ortega. Did not want to quit. Never really went down, never, for a slow count. You always felt like he was losing the fight, and he was losing the fight. Look at his face. But I never thought he was 100% done. I was never like, oh, that's it, guys, it's over. He was always in there, and then he would just stay in the pocket. He was kept on getting hit and hit and hit, but he stayed in the pocket and even threw some great shots himself. Super impressed with Brian Ortega. But Max Holloway, the highlight of the night, the highlight of the UFC. So here, question for you, Max. You kind of talked about it. I have 3 opponents I think he should face. And I'm going to go 1, 2, and 3. You tell me what you think is best. I'm going to put this on Fight Bananas. We'll put it on Locked In. I want to see what the community thinks. All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
The first future fight I would love to see Max Holloway fight would be Frankie Edgar. They were scheduled to fight twice. The fights never happened. And I would love to Max Holloway stay at featherweight, defend the title, clean house. Frankie, future Hall of Famer, he's great. He just won. He just beat Cub Swanson. So he's coming off of a win. I would love to see that fight. It just, sometimes they overuse the super fight, and I would just love another great fight in the featherweight division. Number 2, you said his name, Tony Ferguson. And I don't think this would be a super fight because I would love to see Max Holloway go up to lightweight and to challenge Tony Ferguson. He's not a champion anymore. So just to be a straight up lightweight fight, in a weird way, maybe even a number 1 contender lightweight fight. But just me as a fan, I don't know about you, Max, just as a MMA fan, Tony Ferguson versus Max Holloway is fireworks all night long. I would pay $64.99, get it on HD. We'll come over the house. That fight would be bananas. And last but not least, my third fight I think Max Holloway should fight. You said his name as well. His last loss, your guy, my guy, the people's guy, Conor McGregor. How amazing for him to revenge the only loss he's had in the UFC. That fight now, I think Max Holloway gained a lot of fans this weekend. He gained a lot of momentum. So now I always thought Conor, in a weird way, was so ahead of Max Holloway. I didn't think of that as a money fight. But after this weekend, after seeing Max Holloway defend Brian Ortega, that's a money fight for Conor McGregor. You can have that at featherweight for the title. I would love it if Conor can make the weight. If not, again at 155 and just make it a catch weight, maybe at 150. Max Holloway, Conor McGregor. Those are my 3 choices, Max. Do you like any of those?
I love all 3 of them, but there's a couple things. Well, Frankie Edgar makes the most sense if he stays at the featherweight division. Just like a normal title defense, Frankie Edgar, like you said, Hall of Famer, well, future Hall of Famer. That makes the most sense as far as a regular title defense, and I see that happening. But if he were to move up, I don't think it's Tony Ferguson. Now, although both fighters have expressed interest in fighting each other, I think Tony Ferguson's next fight is clearly Khabib. I really do. I think he's destroyed everybody else. He never truly lost his belt. So I don't think Tony Ferguson, and he even said it in his tweet, he said if Khabib ducks me or if he won't accept the fight, then he would like to fight Max. But if I'm Tony, his management, his coaches, I would definitely think Khabib is the next fight for him. And now for Conor McGregor, that is interesting because he's all about money fights, but I feel like Conor's in this stage where he just needs to get back on the win column, get a good knockout under his belt, and then challenge the big dogs again. So I don't know if the UFC or if Conor wants to fight anybody. We know that. But I feel like the UFC in particular is probably thinking, let's just get him a good fight, not just some slouch, but a good fighter, maybe not 27-0 like Khabib, but like a Dustin Poirier rematch. There's rumors and rumbles around that. So I don't think they want to put him against Max Holloway right this second. I definitely think it's a possibility in the future, but as far as a next fight, I think the 2 fights that make the most sense for Max is Frankie Edgar, and it's I don't know if they give him the title shot immediately for Khabib, but I do know, like you said, it is the era of super fights, so I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities either. So, and you were right on the money with that too, by the way, with Brian Ortega. He just could not go down, and I'm so happy that the doctor stopped it and everybody's okay with it. It was the right stoppage. Make sure, because he's still young. He still has such a bright future. You don't want to damage his career and his health, so that was awesome to see. But yeah, like you hit right on the money. Any opponent he decides to fight next is definitely one everyone has to tune in for sure.
Yeah, with Brian Ortega just losing, Darren Till just losing to the welterweight Tyron Woodley, both guys will be future champions in my books. I really do. I think they're still so young in the game, and their title defenses, their title opportunities are not done. So just give both guys more time, and you never know. Max Holloway might move up in weight, and then that belt might become vacant, and that might be the easy opportunity for Brian Ortega to snatch that belt up. Another name you threw out there, Khabib. I didn't think of Max Holloway Khabib. I just didn't. I think he's got so much on his plate. 1, Conor McGregor. And 2, the skeleton in the closet. Every 4 years, it seems like the UFC comes back to it. And that's Khabib's next opponent, I think should, and I want it to be George St. Pierre. That's the fight I want. That's the fight the MMA fans want. I would love a Max Holloway-Tony Ferguson fight. I think that's fireworks for days. I really do. And you don't need a belt. Sometimes they bastardize the super fight. Sometimes a title belt doesn't make the fight. any fight fan in the world would not pass up the opportunity of Tony Ferguson, Max Holloway at a catchweight at 155 for maybe a number one contendership fight if they do Khabib versus GSP, or of course the Khabib Conor rematch. But gosh, I was just so impressed, Max, with Max Holloway. I'm blown away. I've always loved the guy. He's always been an entertaining fighter. But that night he had even more swag, talking to Joe Rogan in between rounds. He was almost pulling the Anderson Silva a little bit, like, oh, you're goofy, your legs are goofy. He was tremendous. He was just instant classic last night, Max Holloway.
Yeah, and I was so surprised. We're all watching it in the room, and we have Pete White in there. And I'm like, am I really the only Holloway guy in here? I'm telling you, him and Tony Ferguson are the most underrated fighters in the UFC right now, in my opinion. Their win streak, they destroy everybody that nobody wants to see them fight. Everyone thinks that they can't beat them, and they always impress every single time. And George St. Pierre is an interesting matchup, Dave. And I told you there's two people I believe that will give Khabib the toughest time. That will, besides Ben Askren, is a Tyron Woodley or it's a George St. Pierre, somebody who's big, who's a wrestler, who has good striking and has power. And that's everything George St. Pierre has. He just fought a middleweight, Michael Bisping. The question is, can he get down there? Especially at this age in his career, can he make that 155-pound weight class? That's the big thing, and will he want to do it? Because, George St. Pierre only wants to fight legacy fights, or it has to have something that's compelling, obviously, financially. So if that is the case, George St. Pierre and Khabib, I think, is the fight to make. But if not, I think Tony Ferguson has to go right in there. But I do want to shift gears very quickly, though. Joanna. Does she stay at that weight class, or does she drop back down? What would be your opinion?
You mean gain 10 more pounds, right? Because that was the fly. Oh, no, you're right. She would drop. I think you have to drop back down.
Yeah.
For one, she was a champion down a weight class. Two, I think Valentina, with all the Muay Thai, owns her. We even think Thug Rose Namajunas owns her. Valentina the Bullet even owns her even more. But she had more success. She's beaten everyone in the weight class except for Rose Namajunas. But one thing Max, champions don't last forever, especially in the female, division. I think Rose can lose it to a number of different girls. And when she loses it, if she doesn't get the rematch right away, Joanna champion will get that fight. So she can get right back into the, the title contention at any time. She was entertaining as hell. I loved her spirit, too. She did not give up. But, gosh, the 4 female champions, with Valentina finally winning that title, like I said, you do have Rose Namajunas. Then above them, you have Amanda Nunes and Cyborg. These 4 are just, oh, my God. They're top-notch, top-end level legacy female champions. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And I agree. I think Joanna Jedrzejczyk needs to go down. Rose, obviously, you could say has her number, but the thing is, in the rematch, it was a very, very close decision. So if I'm Joanna and you want to seek a belt again, I think that's your best opportunity because, Valentina is just too big for her. She definitely fought a tough fight, tons of heart, but, I think she's just too small for that weight class. And then back to your point, every champion right now can go down in the history books, and I think with the Cyborg and Amanda Nunes especially because – Amanda Nunes, former locked-in. If she wins, she's the first woman to hold 2 belts, and she defeats Cyborg and a Ronda Rousey. Now, if Cyborg wins, she defeated everybody. Everybody you threw at her. Holly Holmes, the list goes on. Gina Carano, the list goes on. Now, if she beats Amanda Nunes, I think she goes down as the greatest female fighter of all time. So I think we're looking at a special case right now with those 2. Whoever wins, in my opinion, is the greatest female fighter of all time.
I definitely concur. I agree, and I will definitely jump into that fight when it gets a little bit closer. We'll definitely have a Fight Bananas 232 about John Jones and Gus, Cyborg and Amanda Nunes. One more thing about Joanna. Has there ever been – so she's lost to Rose not once but twice for the title.
Yes.
Just say if Joanna wins 5 in a row, Rose wins 3 more times. I don't think in the UFC, of course, Chuck beat Tito twice, and then he went to Golden Boy. They had to fight. They would never give him that 3rd match in the UFC because of you never let – if someone wins the first 2 fights, there's never a trilogy. So I don't think Joanna is ever going to get that match. I don't think Joanna versus Rose 3 will ever happen in the UFC.
The one caveat I would say is DC and John Jones, I think, will happen again.
Well, that second one wasn't a loss anymore. It's a no contest.
Yeah. But I mean, to DC's consciousness, it's still a knockout. You know what I mean? So
agree. I hear you. But in the history books, all those trilogy fights, any kind of Frankie trilogy, any kind of BJ Penn, I don't think ever remember the 2 losses. So I don't know what Joanna's move is next.
Did they fight 2 or 3 times? BJ Penn and Frankie Edgar. How many times? They fought twice? I could have sworn they fought 3 times.
Oh, they did. Oh, Frankie beat him twice for the title, and then they fought a 3rd time in the Ultimate Fighter finale.
Yep. So that's the only other one. That's it.
So there's a shot. So that's what I'm saying. So now that's all Joanna needs, right? Just get more wins underneath her belt. She needs to lose the 10 more pounds. She looks small for that weight class. Move down and just fight. Just win fights. Win 2, win 3, win 4. Like you said, you never know. Rose can, 1, lose the title, or just their traffic will definitely, meet again inside that octagon. They'll definitely meet. Their paths will cross.
100%. Guys, fightbananas.com. Like us on Facebook, Fight Bananas. Also on Instagram, you can follow us, Fight Bananas, the best MMA news, topics, debates, you name it, articles, videos. We do it all. Fightbananas.com. Any last words, Dave?
Cuzzo, Island Fights 51. We are days away. I cannot wait. December 21st, Pensacola Beach, Florida, Pensacola Bay Center. Mike, Davis, Socrates, Pierre, Cuzzo, I am amped for Island Fights.
Yeah, it's going to be one for the books. Looking for a fight. Dana White, Dean Toole putting on another spectacular card. Definitely go out there no matter where you are in this country. Pensacola, Florida, December 21st, Island Fights 51. Make sure you check it out. What an episode, Dave.
Cuzzo, you were locked in like always. It was one of the best. Max Holloway definitely was bananas this past weekend.
Couldn't agree more. Like always, guys, stay
locked in.